Welcome to episode 17 of the One Day at a Time podcast. I'm your host Sanjana and I'm a mindset coach. I help women across the globe to create a life which is in alignment with their true selves without feeling overwhelmed. Hello everyone. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about affirmations. What are they? How do they work? How to create the right affirmation statement, as well as my affirmation routine. So let's get started. First things first, what are affirmations? Affirm means to confirm. So an affirmation is a statement that confirms a particular thing. When it comes to affirmations, I always like to give these two examples, and the reason is because these are very common and quite relatable. So the first one is consider naming a baby. So when you name a baby, let's assume that this baby is a girl. When you name her, you keep repeating her name over and over and over again until she believes it to be true and she believes that that is her name. So as she grows up into a young girl and then a woman, she associates that name to herself. So my name is Sanjana. And anywhere I see Sanjana, I immediately think that it's my name. Anyone calls Sanjana, I immediately respond, even without realizing whether they're actually calling me or someone else. This is one example. And then another example is, I think everyone would have experienced it, if not the same one, but like a similar one. I had considered buying or adopting a specific breed of dog, and then there were a few days wherein I kept researching about it, I kept watching videos about it, and I kept on learning about that dog as well. And then when I went out, I could spot that specific breed almost everywhere. I kept seeing it, and these dogs did not magically appear there. They would have been there even if I wouldn't have noticed it. I think even you would have experienced, especially related to cars, if you would have thought of buying a car and you'll be researching about it and you start spotting it almost everywhere. So this is the second example. Similarly, when it comes to affirmations, there are two elements. One is self-identity or belief, and the other one is recognizing the opportunity. When it comes to goals, if you don't believe that you are the kind of person who can achieve that goal, or if you don't believe that that particular thing is going to manifest in your life, it is not going to happen. Belief is the very first step in working on your goals. So consider this situation of a job promotion. Say you want to go from being an associate to a senior associate. The very first thing that you would do, or the very first thing that your manager asks you to do, is take on certain tasks that a senior associate is already doing and then prove that you are the kind of person who can manage it. And consider the same thing, the same rule for your goals as well. If you want to be an entrepreneur, start thinking like an entrepreneur, start behaving like one, start working like one, and then the path to that would be way more quicker. Now moving on to recognizing the opportunity. The dog example that I gave you, this happens because of the reticular activating system in your brain. So the more you repeat something, the more you affirm something, your brain will help you identify what's needed in order to make that thing a reality. What this does, like you practicing affirmations, you repeating it over and over and over again, is that it'll quicken the process for your brain to identify what's needed in order to make that a reality. There are so many things going on in the world at the same time. You're constantly consuming information. You watch news, you speak to a friend, something else happens at your work. All these information keeps entering your brain. So you have to put in a little bit of work so that your brain can easily filter out all of these things and just focus on what you want to achieve in life. So when you affirm regarding a specific goal, it'll be way quicker for your brain to identify what's needed in order to get there. And I have also noticed that it reduces a lot of overwhelm, and also it reduces a lot of energy required from your end as well, because you need not actively go and look for those opportunities. Half the work is done by your brain subconsciously. This is a very scientific method. Understanding this concept and this process will help you use it more efficiently. And the next thing is how to create affirmations. If you're just starting out, if this is your first time using affirmations, then I'd highly suggest to use the ones that are already existing. I have a free affirmation list available on my website. I'll leave a link to it if you want to check it out. And if you have used this in the past, or if you're quite aware, like if you're a little bit aware of this process but and you want to take it up a notch, then I'd suggest you to create your own affirmations. So when it comes to creating your own affirmation, think of 2 or 3 things. I would suggest think of these 2 things. The first one is identity. This is the most important thing. You need to believe that you are the kind of person who blah blah blah, like you are the kind of person who can create a business, you are the kind of person who can work out every day. So the first thing is identity. And if you want to be a teacher, then I am a teacher. If you want to be a marketing manager, I am a marketing manager. So think of it that way. This is the first part of the affirmation. And the second part of the affirmation is the goal. So you want to be an entrepreneur, and then what do you want to achieve? Do you want to achieve a specific revenue target, or do you want to start a specific type of business? Try to get as specific as possible. Or if you want to be a marketing manager, which company do you want to work at? Do you want to work at Google or whatever? Just try to be very specific here. And then another thing would be, I'd suggest not to use it because I feel like you can get hung up on it, and I had noticed that for myself as well, and that is timeline. So when you attach a timeline, try to not obsess over it. Just let it flow, but keeping it like at a very low level in your affirmation routine. Just don't obsess over the timeline. So if you want to be a marketing manager at Google, then your affirmation would be, I am a marketing manager at Google in 2021. But I would really suggest, like, whenever I've tried to obsess over the timeline, it has never worked for me. Sometimes it happens way quicker than the timeline I would have given in the affirmation. Sometimes it happens a little bit later. Honestly, at this point in time, I don't use, just because I believe that things happen in life when I am ready at a certain point in time. There's always a right time for things, and I let God or universe or whoever choose that right time for me. And then obsessing over that timeline, I really focus on, okay, how can I become this entrepreneur? How can I become this employee? How can I become this version of that person who I want to be? I rather focus on the process than obsessing over when it's going to happen. That's worked the best for me, and I'd suggest you to omit the timeline as well. So I'll give you 2 affirmation examples which would help you kind of alter the statement. If you want to become a healthier person who practices yoga, then you can say that I'm the kind of person who practices yoga every single day. So if you want to implement yoga in your daily routine, this can be your affirmation. And if you want to be an illustrator who makes money on her own, then you can say, I am an independent illustrator who makes XX dollars every single month. So I hope this helps you create your own affirmation statement. And then the next thing is my affirmation routine. Depending on that particular situation, I choose my affirmations. So if I'm working on a very specific goal which is completely new to me and which needs a lot of effort from my end, then I create a custom affirmation statement. And if I'm working on something else that I understand it pretty well, it just needs a little bit of extra push and some motivation, then I pick the affirmation from the list that I mentioned before, which is available on my website. Every morning, once I finish my gratitude journaling, what I do is I write down my affirmation for at least 10 times, and it usually depends on the book that I'm using, but I make sure that I write at least 10 times. And the current notebook that I'm using, I write about 12 times, because in one single page there are around like 25-26 lines, and then I just split it into 2 days and write them down. Initially it's definitely a bit weird, you feel like what the hell am I doing and all of that, but over a period of few weeks it becomes pretty normal, and then you slowly start seeing it integrated into your life, and it's no more a guess that yes, you are this kind of a person, or you just start seeing all those things reflecting in your life. So that's really nice. If you're just starting out, I'd highly recommend you to write it, and that's just because your brain is more concentrated when you're writing. If you have more power, more control of your brain, then you can use this as a mantra as well when you are meditating or when you are praying. That works as well. Sometimes I have done it during my meditation practice. Usually I do a guided meditation, but if I don't, if I'm just sitting in silent, and if I'm really focusing on the goal that particular day, then I use it as a mantra, but it's very rare. But I have used it a couple of times. Try to use the same affirmation, don't shift it up until you see that reflecting in your life, especially if you're working on a specific goal and you're not using a generalized statement from the list that I have shared. You should really start to see it reflecting in your life in physical form. If you're working on becoming a marketing manager at that specific company, really like do it until you get it. Or you can change it if your goal changes as well. If you decide that no, you no longer want to do that, you no longer want to pursue that goal, then change the affirmation statement or wait for it to reflect in your life until you change. You can also modify it every now and then, but don't modify it too frequently, because I do see that it takes a lot of time, like over a period of weeks, for it to really sink into your brain. So I think you at least need to use it for 3 months if you're working on a very specific goal. The key is to keep repeating it until you believe. Marketing industry, advertisement industry uses this technique all the time. They keep shoving that advertisement on your face, and then you finally start to think, oh my god, do I even need that product? Yes, I might need that product, let me go and order it. They use it all the time, guys. It works. And I'm sure you would have heard of the statement, repeat a lie oftentimes and it becomes the truth. It's actually true. If you keep repeating something over and over and over again, your brain will actually start believing it. And affirmations just helps you to do it more mindfully, and you're not just believing random things. So this was the episode on affirmations. I hope you found it useful. As usual, if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments, or you can even ask me on Instagram. And if you're still here, I'd like to mention that there's one last spot available in my one-on-one coaching program, wherein we will be working together for 3 months for you to gain clarity with what you want to do in your life, so that you can create a life that truly matters to you, as well as create goals, set goals, create a 5-year plan that's going to help you to start implementing all of these things. And we will work through mindset, strategy, and there are so many other things. So if you're interested, reach out to me on Instagram and we will continue our conversation. So I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Next episode is going to be about law of attraction. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.